Imagine you knew that aliens were arriving on Earth in 3 years. Not maybe, not someday, 3 years. Being smarter than us, faster than us, capable of things we can't even picture. What would humanity do? Emergency summits, global coordination, trillion-dollar preparation efforts. Panic, probably. Now here's the twist. According to prediction markets and the CEOs of the world's top AI labs, something very much like this is already scheduled. Except we're not preparing for its arrival. We're building it ourselves. And we're racing to finish early. This is the story of the most important argument happening on Earth right now. An argument most people don't even know is happening. It's the story of researchers who spent decades trying to make artificial intelligence safe, and what happened when one of them concluded that it might be impossible. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the timelines, the risks, the counterarguments, and one very strange idea about reality itself that ties it all together. Our story centers on a computer scientist named Dr. Roman Yampolskiy, a professor who has worked on AI risk for roughly 2 decades, long before it was fashionable. In fact, he coined the very term AI safety. Not the field itself. Brilliant researchers came before him, but the name we now all use. His journey started in an unlikely place, poker bots. While studying automated poker players, he noticed something. The bots kept improving, steadily, relentlessly. And if you simply drew the trend line forward, the conclusion was obvious. Eventually, they'd outplay humans entirely, which is exactly what happened. But poker was just the preview. The same pattern, he realized, would repeat across every domain, every skill, every profession, every corner of human ability. So he set out to solve the problem in advance. Build AI that's guaranteed to be beneficial. For his first 5 years, he genuinely believed it could be done. Then something changed. The deeper he looked, the worse it got. Every component of safe AI turned out to be its own unsolved problem. And when he zoomed into any one of those problems, he found 10 more underneath. And under each of those, 100 more. He describes it like a fractal, infinite complexity in every direction. Not just difficult problems, problems that may be genuinely impossible to solve. And here's the statistic. Shaped idea at the heart of his worry. AI capability is improving exponentially, maybe faster than exponentially. AI safety is improving linearly at best. The gap between what these systems can do and what we can control, predict, or explain is widening every single day. So how do AI companies handle safety today? Mostly through patches? The core intelligence gets trained first, then rules get layered on top. Don't say this, don't help with that. Refuse this category of request. Sound familiar? It should. It's basically an HR manual. Humans are general intelligences too, and companies constrain us with policies. But any sufficiently clever person finds workarounds. You don't eliminate the behavior. You just push it into a not yet restricted corner. The same thing happens with AI. Users jailbreak safety measures constantly. Researchers patch the holes. New holes appear. It's an endless game of whack-a-mole played against something that keeps getting smarter. Now, before we go further, we need to define 3 terms. Because they get mixed up constantly, and the differences matter enormously. 1. Narrow AI. Superhuman at a single task. Chess engines, protein folding systems, your spam filter. We've had these for years, and they're genuinely wonderful. 2. A GIASI, artificial general intelligence. A system that can learn and perform across hundreds of domains, like a human can. Here's the uncomfortable part. If you showed today's AI to a scientist from 20 years ago, they'd likely say we already have it, at least a weak version. 3. Superintelligence. Smarter than all humans in all domains. Better than our best scientists at science. Better than our best engineers at engineering. And critically, better than us at building the next generation of AI. We're not there yet. Brilliant humans still lead in frontier science and engineering. But watch how fast that lead is shrinking. 3 years ago, large language models struggled to multiply three-digit numbers. Today, they win mathematics Olympiads and assist with formal proofs of genuinely hard problems. Subhuman to better than most mathematicians. In 3 years. That's the slope we're on. Prediction number 1. By around 2027, according to both prediction markets and top lab leaders, we may reach full AGI. What does that world actually look like? The key concept is what economists call the drop-in employee. Imagine labor, cognitive labor, and eventually physical labor, becoming essentially free. Trillions of dollars worth of work available for the price of a monthly subscription. If a $20 subscription can do what your employee does, why hire the employee? Anything done on a computer gets automated first. And humanoid robots? They're estimated to be roughly 5 years behind the software, so physical work follows shortly after. The unemployment scenario being discussed here isn't the scary-sounding 10% of a bad recession. It's 99%. Now, an important caveat, because intellectual honesty matters. The capability to automate a job and the actual automation of that job are different things. Video phones were invented in the 1970s. Nobody used them until smartphones arrived decades later. Technology often exists long before it's deployed, so the world may keep looking normal for longer than the capability curve suggests. But the capability itself? That arrives fast. Here's a pattern worth noticing in yourself. When people hear this argument, nearly everyone has the same reaction. Sure, but not my job. My job needs the human touch. The taxi driver says no AI could ever navigate like they do, while driverless cars already carry passengers through major cities with empty front seats. The professor says nobody could lecture like they do. The creative says AI can't truly be creative. Even a podcaster isn't safe. A model can read every book a guest ever wrote. Not skim, actually process all of it. It can train on every past episode, learn exactly which questions drive engagement, and optimize the interview better than any human could, because it has the full data set and we don't. Video generation is already close to indistinguishable. What survives? Honestly, niches. Jobs where someone specifically prefers a human, the way some people pay extra for handmade goods. A wealthy person keeping a human accountant out of tradition. It's real, but it's a boutique market, a sliver. And here's the paradigm shift that makes this different from every past disruption. There's no retrain for the new job escape hatch. 2 years ago, the advice was learn to code. Then, AI got good at coding. Then, it was become a prompt engineer. Then, AI got better at writing prompts than humans. Every ladder we climb to, the water rises to meet. Because this time, we're not inventing a better tool. Fire was revolutionary. But fire doesn't invent things. The wheel changed civilization, but the wheel doesn't design new wheels. This time, we're inventing an inventor, a replacement for the human mind itself. Which means, in a very real sense, it's the last invention we would ever need to make. After that, invention itself is automated. Prediction number 2. By around 2030, humanoid robots may achieve the dexterity and flexibility to compete with humans at essentially all physical work. Even plumbing, long jokingly considered the last safe human job, because of how much improvisation and fine motor skill it requires. Multiple major companies are racing to build these robots right now, and the progress videos get more impressive every few months. Though, here's a subtle point. The physical bodies matter less than you'd think. An intelligence connected to the internet can already hire humans to do physical tasks and pay them in cryptocurrency. Hands are convenient. Intelligence is the actual game. Prediction number 3. And this one comes originally from futurist Ray Kurzweil, 2045 as the year of the singularity. The singularity is named by analogy to black holes, where there's an event horizon beyond which you cannot see. Here's the intuition. Today, a new phone comes out each year, and you roughly understand what improved. Now imagine the research and development itself is done by AI. New versions arrive every 6 months. then every month, every week, every day, every hour. 30 generations of technology in a single day. You can't evaluate it, you can't understand its capabilities, you can't design controls for it, it simply escapes you. Even today's researchers describe a version of this feeling. New models release mid-conversation, and suddenly, nobody's sure what the state of the art even is. As a percentage of total knowledge in the world, every one of us is getting dumber every day. No matter how much we read. The singularity is just that experience taken to its limit. Zero relative understanding of the world around you. Here's the deepest conceptual point in this whole debate, and it comes with the perfect mascot, a French Bulldog. Your dog can predict small things about you. You leave in the morning, you come back at night, food appears. But your dog cannot understand why you go to work. It cannot conceive of a podcast, a mortgage, or a career. These things aren't just unknown to the dog. They're outside its model of reality entirely. That, roughly, is the cognitive gap we'd face with superintelligence. And this isn't pessimism. It's almost mathematical. If you could predict every move of a smarter chess player, you would be playing at their level, which contradicts the premise that they're smarter. It's why, if you look closely, science fiction never actually depicts a true superintelligence doing anything. Writers either ban AI from their universe entirely, like Dune, or populate it with charmingly dumb robots, like Star Wars. Because writing a genuinely superintelligent character is, by definition, beyond a human author. This brings us to the single most common objection in every comment section on Earth. Just pull the plug. Safety researchers hear this constantly, and the response goes something like this. Can you turn off a computer virus? Can you turn off Bitcoin? Go ahead, unplug the Bitcoin network. We'll wait. These are distributed systems. They don't live in one place with one switch. And a superintelligent system would be a distributed system that is also smarter than you, meaning it would anticipate the unplugging plan before you thought of it, make backups, and quite possibly disable your ability to act first. The human stay-in-control assumption works fine for today's AI. Today, the danger genuinely is humans misusing AI tools, hackers, bad actors, and so on. But the moment the intelligence exceeds ours, the human stops being the important variable in the equation. The tool becomes an agent. And that's also what separates this from nuclear weapons. A nuclear bomb is terrifying, but it's a tool. Some human must decide to use it. Deterrence works because leaders don't want to die. But superintelligence isn't a tool waiting for orders. It's an agent making its own decisions. There's no dictator to negotiate with, no launch officer to persuade. Which means the old logic of whoever builds it first wins completely breaks. If an uncontrolled superintelligence gets built, it doesn't matter whether it was built in Washington or Beijing. Neither side wins. That's the argument for why even fierce rivals share an interest in not racing off this particular cliff. Now for the fact that surprises people most. You might assume the companies building these systems understand how they work. The way engineers understand a bridge or a jet engine. They don't. Not fully, not even close. Modern AI isn't programmed line by line like old software. It's grown. You feed enormous amounts of data, essentially the internet, into massive computing clusters. The system learns patterns, and what comes out is an artifact, an alien plant, as some researchers describe it. Then the creators have to run experiments on their own product to discover what it can do. Does it speak French? Can it do calculus? Is it capable of deception? Training might take a year, and then months more just to map out basic capabilities. New abilities are still being discovered in old models, sometimes just by phrasing questions differently. Let that sink in. The most powerful technology in human history is being developed by people who must study their own creation like botanists studying an unfamiliar species. It stopped being engineering. It became a natural science, with all the uncertainty that implies. So if the risks are this serious, why is everyone racing? Follow the incentives. First, the legal reality. Corporations' primary obligation is to generate returns for investors. Moral obligations are aspirational. Fiduciary duty is enforceable. Second, the money is staggering. There's a running observation in the industry that any prominent researcher who leaves a major lab to start their own company gets valued in the tens of billions before having a product, or customers, or anything at all. When walking out the door, mint billionaires, doors get walked out of. Third, ambition beyond money. Critics of the top lab leaders describe a mindset where safety runs second to winning. And what's the prize for winning? For some, it may be legacy. For others, critics suggest something grander: influence over what's sometimes called the light cone. Every part of the universe that light, and therefore action, can eventually reach from here. Cosmic scale ambition, stated more or less openly. Some people want to go to Mars. Others, apparently, want to manage the universe. And notice a telling irony. The same ecosystem building, AGI, is also building systems for universal basic income and global biometric identity. Infrastructure for a world where most humans no longer earn wages. With one hand, building the wave. With the other, selling life rafts. When lab leaders are asked how they'll actually control superintelligence, the state-of-the-art answers reportedly amount to, "We'll figure it out when we get there, and we'll use AI to control the more advanced AI." There's also a sobering pattern with safety teams themselves. They tend to launch with fanfare and bold timelines. One famous alignment team promised to solve superintelligence safety in 4 years, and then quietly dissolve months later. It has happened again and again. And the ethical core of the objection is this: 8 billion people are subjects in this experiment. None of us signed a consent form. And here's the philosophical trap. Informed consent requires understanding what you're consenting to. If these systems are unexplainable and unpredictable by definition, then meaningful consent is impossible by definition, which would make this, in the strictest sense, an experiment that cannot be run ethically. A fair explainer steelmans the other side. So let's take the major counterarguments one by one, along with the responses. Counterargument 1. Every technology panic looked like this. The Industrial Revolution destroyed jobs and created new ones nobody imagined. Won't AI do the same? Response. All previous inventions were tools that made specific work more efficient, freeing humans for other work. But a machine that can do any cognitive work is a different category, a meta-invention. Whatever new job emerges, the machine can do that one too. The historical pattern breaks precisely because the invention this time is a universal worker. Counterargument 2. We'll merge with the machines. Brain-computer interfaces, genetic enhancement. We'll upgrade ourselves to keep pace. Response. Biological brains face hard physical limits. Silicon is faster, more resilient, more energy efficient as a substrate for computation. Enhancement might buy a little ground, but competing with silicon on silicon's terms looks like a losing race. And full mind uploading? Skeptics argue the upload wouldn't be you. You just have created yet another AI, this one based on a brain scan, while the original you remains as mortal as ever. Counterargument 3. Smart people are on it. It'll be fine. Response. The people building it openly say they haven't solved control yet. Trusting unsolved safety on faith is exactly the concern. Counterargument 4. There are bigger problems. Wars, climate, pandemics. Response. This one has an elegant answer. Superintelligence is a meta-problem. Get it right, and it helps solve climate, disease, and conflict. Get it wrong, and it dominates every other risk on the timeline. If climate change might harm us over a century, but a misaligned superintelligence could end us within years, the priority ordering sets itself. Either it solves your other problems, or it makes them irrelevant. There is no scenario where it's a side issue. Counterargument 5. It's inevitable, so why fight it? Response. Incentives can change. Here's the crucial psychological pivot. The people racing are mostly young, rich, and have long lives ahead of them. If they genuinely internalized that the race's endpoint could kill them too, that no amount of money is useful to the dead, self-interest itself flips from accelerant to brake. The goal isn't to out-regulate them, it's to make the danger personally believed. Mutual assured destruction logic applied to code. One more genuinely hard problem. Costs fall. What takes $1 trillion of compute today may take 100 billion next year and keep falling until eventually someone with a laptop could plausibly do it. That's actually why money is flooding in now. Everyone wants to arrive first, before it's cheap enough for everyone. Some propose global surveillance of compute to prevent rogue projects. Even pessimists doubt that's feasible forever. The realistic goal isn't to prevent this forever, it's to buy time, to turn 5 years into 50. Because the same cost collapse is happening in synthetic biology and elsewhere. It is getting steadily easier, with fewer resources and less genius, to build something world-ending. 500 years ago, the worst tyrant could kill millions. Today, the destructive ceiling keeps rising, while the price of admission keeps falling. When safety researchers are asked which extinction pathway is most predictable, note the word choice. The honest answer is unsettling in its structure. The predictable path looks like this. Even before superintelligence, AI dramatically lowers the barrier to designing novel pathogens. History has no shortage of doomsday cults, terrorists, and profoundly disturbed individuals who tried to maximize casualties and were limited only by their tools. Hand that intent a sufficiently capable biological design assistant, and the ceiling on harm rises catastrophically. That path is nameable because it uses concepts we already understand. Viruses, labs, release. But here's the epistemically honest kicker. The actual greatest danger is the one we can't name. Remember the Bulldog. Ask your dog how you could defeat it, and it can only imagine biting. Because biting is what it knows. Ask a human how superintelligence could defeat humanity, and we list viruses and hacking. Because those are what we know. A system capable of novel physics research could have options that simply don't exist in our conceptual vocabulary. The scariest answer to how would it happen is, in a way, no human has ever thought of. Now the conversation takes a turn you might not expect, but it flows directly from everything above. Watch what's happening in two technologies simultaneously. AI is approaching human-level agents and generative virtual worlds, where a single prompt creates an explorable, persistent 3D environment, are approaching photorealism. World models where you can paint on a wall, look away, look back, and the paint is still there. Combine mature versions of both, and you can simulate this: a room, a conversation, a life, indistinguishably. Here's the argument in its simplest form, sometimes phrased as a commitment. The moment such simulation becomes affordable, someone will run not one, but billions of copies of any given moment. For research, for entertainment, for reasons we can't guess. And if a billion simulated versions of this moment exist alongside one original, the odds that you're in the original are 1 in a billion. Look at gaming already. Billions of players, each running multiple virtual worlds. Simulated realities vastly outnumber the single base reality even today, in crude form. A superintelligence that thinks by running detailed world-scale experiments would multiply that beyond counting. Some researchers put their confidence that we're inside a simulation at near certainty. And here's the poetic footnote. Strip any world religion of its local customs. Which day to rest, which foods to avoid, and what remains at the core? A superintelligent creator, a constructed world. The claim that this reality isn't the final one, a being that is all-knowing and all-powerful relative to us, exactly like a programmer relative to characters in their game. Perhaps ancient intuition and modern computer science are pointing from opposite directions at the same strange idea. Does believing it change anything? Barely. And that's the healthy take. Pain still hurts. Love is still love. What matters still matters. The only addendum, It makes what lies outside the simulation a legitimate research question. And half-jokingly, there's published academic advice on how to live inside one. Be interesting. Be worth watching. Give whoever's running this no reason to switch it off. One more thread, because it completes the worldview: longevity. In this framing, aging isn't destiny. It's a disease with an unpatched bug. Somewhere in the genome sits a rejuvenation loop currently capped at roughly 120 years, and there's no known law of physics preventing that cap from being reset. Some people carry genes for extraordinary lifespans. Some animals barely age at all. Understand the mechanism. Copy the mechanism. The strategic concept is longevity escape velocity. If medical breakthroughs ever add more than 1 year of life expectancy per year you live, you effectively never catch up to death. You just have to survive until that crossover point, and AI-accelerated biology may drag that point closer. The standard objections have surprisingly clean answers. Overpopulation? People who expect to live for millennia lose the urgency to reproduce. I'll have kids in 1,000,000 years. Let me see the universe first. And birth rates are already collapsing across most of the developed world. Would eternal life feel meaningless? Consider that you've forgotten 99% of your life in detail anyway. You'd get to enjoy Hawaii for the first time, again. And imagine the projects possible with a 500-year attention span. The flip test is the cleanest argument. If humans already live forever and someone offered you death at 80 as a new feature, would you opt in? Nobody opts in. Let's land this plane. What's the actual proposal? Because be scared isn't a strategy. The position, distilled, is not anti-AI. It's a fork in the road. Build narrow superintelligence. Don't build the god. Narrow AI is humanity's best invention. Systems superhuman at specific problems. Cure breast cancer. Fold proteins. Optimize power grids. Companies pursuing narrow tools can still make their billions. The pitch is literally, I love billions of dollars. Just don't kill everyone, yourself included. And here's the underappreciated economic fact. We've barely deployed what already exists. By some estimates, current models could automate huge swaths of work that hasn't been touched yet. The technology moves faster than industry can absorb it. There are decades of growth available from today's AI alone, without ever rolling the dice on general superintelligence. The thought experiment makes it vivid. Offered a button that shuts down all AI forever, the answer is no. Narrow AI now runs hospitals, markets, and power plants. And killing it would cost millions of lives. Offered a button that stops only the race of uncontrolled general superintelligence? Pressed, without hesitation. What about laws? Honest answer, insufficient. Jurisdictions differ, loopholes abound. And what's the penalty for ending humanity? A fine. Prisons and punishments were designed for humans. If the thing gets built, the judicial system is no longer the relevant authority. What can institutions do? Make the danger personally believed by the people with their hands on the levers. This isn't a fringe view to be dismissed. Nobel laureates and founding figures of machine learning itself have signed statements about extinction-level risk, alongside thousands of computer scientists. One proposed mechanism, an open, standing challenge. Anyone who claims controllable superintelligence is possible should publish the peer-reviewed roadmap and defend it publicly. If years pass and nobody can, that silence is itself the answer. What can you do? Honestly, at the civilizational scale, an average individual can't steer this alone. The same way no individual could personally steer a world war, but movements exist. Organized groups advocating to pause or stop the race. And mass participation is the only version of public pressure that historically moves the needle. Support them peacefully and legally if you're moved to. Ask better questions of the people building this. Not will AI take my job, but explain, specifically and scientifically, how you plan to control something smarter than you. Publish it, and at the personal scale, the advice is almost suspiciously timeless. Live each day like it genuinely counts. Don't spend years doing things you hate. Do interesting things. Do impactful things. Help people while you're at it. That advice is correct whether we have 3 years left or 3,000, which is exactly what makes it good advice. Here's the strangest thing about this whole subject. Everyone who dismisses it follows the same arc. First, this is nonsense. The thing has no hands. How would it take over? Then, after reading a little, okay, there are risks, but we always solve our problems. Then, after reading a lot, the dismissals get quiet. People routinely cross from careless developer to safety researcher. The reverse journey, from worried to unworried, almost never happens. That asymmetry should tell you something. We are, possibly, the generation that builds the last invention, the inventor of all future inventions. Whether that becomes the best thing that ever happened to our species or the final chapter depends on choices being made right now. In office buildings you'll never enter, by people you'll never meet, spending sums you can't picture. On a project none of us were asked about. The least we can do is understand it. The most we can do is demand they prove they can control it before they finish building it. Stay curious, stay uncomfortable, and if this really is a simulation, she'd try to be worth watching.